Hey, you often ask me what is it to be living in a different country, so here I am today answering that question. First of all, I want to say that I've never thought I would be that girl that would be living abroad. I've never been a flight risk, if you know what I mean, but here I am, living in England for the last 2.5 years. Life is a funny thing. I remember I met my high school English teacher the summer before I came here, and he asked me how's life, and I told him I was thinking about going to England to live there. I'm sure that his inner voice was like, yeah, right. Because I had a hard time coping with English throughout the first couple of years of high school. As I said in my last video, I was too afraid I was going to start speaking in French whenever I opened my mouth, so I suppose he thought I was just trying to make a meaningful small talk or something. But actually I have to admit that teacher of mine is like one of the people that always likes everything I post about England and my life here, so I can really feel the support through those little thumbs up he gives me once in a while. I really hope I was able, or that I will be able, to make him a little proud one day. So, living in a different country is difficult, messy, and so incredibly wonderful. Well, yeah, I can't really use my own language in my daily conversations. I can't use the phrases that I like because then I have to explain them, or I just can't say them because those words simply don't exist in the English language. I'm like 2,500 miles away from my family and the few friends I have back in Bulgaria, which, thanks to Skype, Viber, and the free roaming throughout Europe, isn't such a big deal. I can't really get used to the fact that summer here is like 1 week long, if we're lucky that is, but I have to admit I love those long rainy days that I spend at home with Alex with a big cup of hot cocoa, playing video games together or doing puzzles, so I have to say I love it here. Alex has been to England before and he was totally in love with this country. He started talking about moving to England the first week we were dating. I can't really explain it, but I did not have a panic attack, I didn't start hyperventilating. It was like the most natural thing. Of course, we were friends long before that, we went to high school together, so it was kind of a logical plot twist in our lives. A few months later, we put some clothes in a suitcase and flew to England on an adventurous journey with no plan or idea, or someone to stay with for a couple of days for that matter, because we wanted to try and live here. England has always been a dream of mine. I remember when I was in high school, I started writing this story. It was supposed to be a book. I've never finished it. Hopefully I'll have the time to finish it one day. Anyway, it was about this actor, Terence, that was living in Brighton, and I was sure he was made for bigger things, and he felt like he was wasting his life away playing mediocre characters in a small local theater. Back then, I didn't know anything about Brighton except where it was, thanks to a little world atlas I had, but I've always felt this invisible gravitational force that was pulling me towards that city. It is still a dream of mine to move there someday, especially now that I know it's a very vivid and artsy place with all these little cute shops and people who are open to anything new and different, and it somehow turned out to be the university city, so of course I like to be a part of the hype. Who doesn't? And also Japanese culture taught me a lot about how wonderful London was. All these manga books I have read were telling me that London is this magical place at the other side of the world that brings inspiration and beauty in people's life. At one point I caught myself buying more and more Union Jack stuff like clothes and bags and key holders, and I thought it was so cool. Actually I still do. A few months ago Alex and I bought a Union Jack frying pan, and I'm not willing to use it, it's still in the box, and once we have our own place, it will be part of the kitchen interior. Speaking about that, I like the fact that all the food in England is really affordable. I mean like groceries and stuff, because Alex and I love cooking together. I don't like junk food and takeouts in general. I think that there is nothing better than a warm homemade meal, so I'm extremely happy that I can afford to cook all my favorite dishes and desserts that I used to think is a special treat back in Bulgaria. People often ask me if I'm able to cook the things I was cooking in my country. Well, our groceries are virtually the same as the ones in England. If you purchase some potatoes and mincemeat, you'll probably make a shepherd's pie, and I'll make some moussaka. It's pretty much the same thing. I also love all those little vintage shops that are like everywhere. I mean, every single corner hides some amazing little things to be found, and sometimes not so little, and that's my problem because I love to buy so many different things, but first I can't really afford it right now, and second I just don't have any room left in our small apartment. Funny thing is that I still somehow managed to optimize and compress the space, but soon it will be simply impossible. Talking about small spaces and such, I have to say I'm not appalled by the sinks with the separate taps. I usually use cold water to wash and brush my teeth anyway. What I can't get used to is how small those taps are, like short. I mean, I know that the initial idea is just to fill up the sink, but they're really uncomfortable when you have to put your hands underneath. It's like I have to wash my hands one by one because it's simply impossible to squeeze both of them under there. What I love most about England is that it's really green here, and I don't really mind that the climate is very damp. I love all those little green parks with the swans and the squirrels that are not afraid to climb and steal a piece of that hazelnut chocolate bar you're eating. I also love the ocean. People usually complain because of the pebbly beaches, but I don't really mind not having sand in my hair whenever I go for a swim. So for me, it's really magical around here. If you decide to move to a different country, keep in mind that if you don't have a plan, you'll need to save for the journey, because the first couple of months you'll be like settling in, taking care of the documents you need to work or live there. In other words, you'll be completely broke. And you need some money to fall back on while searching for a job. Another thing is that if you're a very social person, it will be difficult for you at the beginning because you'll be like completely alone. But if you're that social, I suppose that it won't be such a big deal to find new people to hang out with. And if you're like me and England or whatever country you want to go to agrees with you, you'll have no trouble at all adjusting to the new environment. Which country would you like to live in? Tell me in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe. Also give this video a big thumb up. I really hope you enjoyed this little messy talk today, and I'll see you next week. Bye!